a function like this would not be complete without a community reflection. Fortunately, we have Kevin Smith with us tonight, who's going to reflect on the community's long-standing input at Chowilla. Kevin has many roles, but I guess, you know, all under that broad badge of volunteer, generous person, giver of time and community leader. He is a long-standing member of the Chowilla Community Reference Committee, but his passion, advocacy and commitment to Chowilla and the environment spans, as you would know, over many years. I even remember seeing an old biological handbook written by Kevin when he was a teacher that, you know, today has been obviously surpassed by Water Watch and all of those programs. But somebody had to start those things to make sure that we were educating our youth. Look, I'm not going to say too much more about Kevin. He can come up and tell us himself, and it will become obvious his contribution to the community's commitment to Chowilla. Please welcome Kevin Smith.
Yes, thanks, Tony. Look, it's really been a privilege over a large number of years to represent the community and act as a spokesperson for this community in a number of environmental matters. To start off with, I'd like to thank, in that role, thank both Ali and Jan for their for organising tonight. This sort of forum is the way that we can get the information across to the community, and they are the ones that are sitting out there watching. They're there waiting. And I'll tell you, if we really wanted to fill this room even with more people, we only had to put one little controversial issue to do with Chowilla up, and we would have filled this hotel with people, because that's the way they operate. Over the years, it's happened. So thanks very much, Ali and Jan, for organising tonight. Thanks to all the speakers for the wonderful presentations they made, and of course also the amount of work that obviously goes into preparing doing the background and getting those presentations up. But you know, they're lucky to be here tonight. You know why, don't you? On 2 occasions in the past, we nearly lost the whole floodplain. And of course, I'm talking about the Chowilla floodplain, first of all, being put underwater, too much water. In other words, the Chowilla Dam. For those that don't know, back in the early 60s, the plan was to shore up South Australia's water supply, and that was to build a dam up at Chowilla. And that dam, people just say, oh yeah, a dam, I know what a dam's like, I've seen them in the Adelaide Hills. But let me put that in perspective for a moment. If you were in your boat going upstream, you'd have seen in the distance this raised platform, raised something in the background anyway. And as you neared it, you would notice and been looking up at a 14-metre high earth bank. Looking out to the side, stretching from the one side of the river valley to the other, some 5 kilometres, this bank stretched across the whole of the floodplain. Can you just imagine that for a minute? Then how about getting up on top and looking out over this huge area of water, expanse of water, some 1,300 square kilometres of water. You know what? That's twice the size of Lake Alexandrina. So with all that water out there, imagine what would have been happening. The water would have evaporated, that huge area of water would have evaporated. That huge pressure of water on the ground, soil and groundwater, imagine what it would be doing downstream. I wonder if we would have even had an irrigation system downstream of that dam now. Probably not. Oh, by the way, just to get a bit of an idea on, I see some of you wondering about the number of, 1,300 square kilometres. To put it in perspective, the widest point would have been something like 32 kilometres. This is the river valley, 32 kilometres wide. And if you'd gotten your boat and tried to go from the dam wall up to the end of this lake, you'd had to travel 89 kilometres. Can you just imagine that huge amount of water? Anyway, fortunately it didn't happen. And it was due in a lot of ways to community reaction to that. Jack Seecamp's been mentioned a lot tonight. Jack was knocking on doors, politicians, he had all the answers, and he was saying it's a disaster. He went and advocated wherever he could. And I know it wasn't totally that, but he had a large influence on stopping that dam. Then we move on a little bit further to the late 1980s, and Chowilla's in the gun again, in the sights of the gun again, because what did they want then? Salinity was the issue. Downstream at Morgan, where they pump water out to Whyalla, and of course we also pump water to Adelaide, the salinity of the water was getting a little bit high. So let's have a look and see how we can solve it. Oh, we know, Chowilla. That's a good spot because water comes in, the saline water comes in through the Chowilla Creek. So the easiest solution, cheapest solution, block off all the inflowing creeks above the lock and block off the Chowilla Creek at the bottom. What have we got? Salt evaporation basin, like Dishes Creek and so on. You know, there were a few people who got a little bit upset about that, and they held a meeting in the Berry Hotel. I'll never forget it. They sent some poor young fellow up from town who was going to do a community consultation process, and that was to give us a few options. And the options were things like, well, we'll close off the Chowilla Creek and we'll close all those options up the top and turn it into a saline evaporation basin, or we'll do half of that. I guess, obviously hoping that the community would say, oh, we'll go for half, thanks. Well, that poor bloke went home to Adelaide with his tail between his legs because the community howled him down. There were over 200 people in that room and screaming at this bloke to get back to Adelaide and, behave himself. So it was the community that really had a major role in turning that particular, deleterious effect on the Chowilla floodplain away. Just after that, we started a true community consultation process, and this was conducted through the Murray-Darling Basin Commission, as they were then, and they educated the community with they were bombarded basically with lots of information. We held meetings, barbecues, goodness knows whatever, and engaged with the community. Those guys, I shouldn't say guys to me is a non-sexist term, but those people that were involved in that process were prepared to stand up and advocate for the community as a whole. And as a result, we were able to stop that, disastrous effect. So you're lucky to be here tonight, is what I'm saying, because this may never have happened if either of those two things had gone ahead. I'm glad it did. We did do that as a community, and I'm sure if we had the community here tonight, certainly all of those that have advocated over a large number of years were here tonight, they would say congratulations on a job well done. Certainly what we have now in the Chowilla floodplain is truly a River Murray, I should say Murray River, because South Australians say River Murray, I believe, and we're the only ones that do. Everybody else uses the correct terminology, which is Murray River. It's truly a magnificent Murray River icon site, and the community has a lot of let's say, kudos to be able to say that they were a part of getting it to where it is today. Thank you.